All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I want to send a couple special thankses out. Norse Mustang, thank you very much for the super thanks. My main man, my number one supporter, Isle Sabag, man, thank you so much for your generosity. It's so much appreciated. Means a lot that you get so much out of the channel that you guys are donating. And also E Brown 112 as well. Thank you guys so much. Really, it means the world that you guys get enough out of this channel to want to donate. It's very well received and very much appreciated. Man, real quick, I just want to say the trolls in full effect. I mean, if you talk about a certain topic, they come on. Even a baby channel like mine, they're all over you. It's kind of funny, actually. I get a kick out of it, but like I always say to people, everybody's got the ability, if they think that they got some knowledgeable stuff and you got enough, put it out there, make a channel. That's what I did. I was encouraged to do it by Angry Old Hoops and Sports and Fitness Rants and Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best. Those guys encouraged me to do it. So, hey, if you think you got enough information and you think you know what you're talking about, then put it out there, instead of just trying to always, dig for the negative and be contrary. Certain people come through here and all you got to do is see the name of the person and I already know it's going to be something contrary, no matter what, always contrary. So that just tells you they're digging for it, looking for it. That's just what trolls do, I guess. Anyway, in this video here, what I'm going to talk about is LeBron James Finals competition. I've done a few videos on this, but I added some different context. And, there's just a couple questions people have brought in the comments and made a couple good points. Is the fact that LeBron and his teams or whatever that had some bad showings in the finals, not all of them, some of them were good showings, but was that some sort of proof that if LeBron was in the West that maybe he would have struggled? And it made me, it was a good question, a good point. So I dug into it a little bit deeper than I normally do. So anyway, I'm just going to cover the 6 teams that LeBron James lost to in the finals. Now, we all know about the 4 victories, the Miracle 3 in 2013, the suspension, the injury to Bogut, and 2020, the virus, the bubble championship, no road games, that kind of thing. 2012 is pretty much the one straight up championship with no asterisk, no controversy surrounding it. And I know, before anybody starts trolling, I know 2015 LeBron James had some teammates that were injured. Absolutely. I'm sure that mattered. So probably 2015 and 16, if all things were equal and everybody was healthy, a good chance Cleveland may have won 2015 and Golden State won 2016. That's possible. Maybe that ended up right how it was supposed to. They each won one. But here's a couple things I find very interesting. So in 2007, LeBron James's infamous finals run that I still hear to this day, LeBron fans, talk about this monumental achievement. Now, obviously, making the finals, sure, that's a good thing or whatever. But it's not like they were doing it from, the 5th or 6th seed position. They were the number 2 seed. And there was a couple of games that he got some unexpected production from one guy in particular, Daniel Gibson. I mean, I thought it was only game 6, but he had another game in there where I think he got 21 points on 7 shots. I think that was like game 2 or 3. But then obviously game 6, Daniel Gibson, the Eastern Conference Finals 2007, game 6, he goes, I think it was 7 for 9 from the field, 5 for 5 3-pointers. He was like 12 for 14 from the line, 31 points on 9 shots. You get that kind of production from a bench player? I mean, wow. Yeah, That's pretty good, especially when your star player is going 3 for 11. So in 07 against San Antonio, there's two things of note here, really. Number one is this right here. San Antonio, they're the 3 seed, okay? So that means there was 2 teams in the West that had a better record than San Antonio. Does that necessarily mean they were a better team? Maybe not. But the point is that if you were in the 07 playoffs in the West, let's say Cleveland would have probably been, they would have probably been something like, I don't know, a 6 seed maybe, something like that. Because the 4 seed Utah West was 51-31. Cleveland was lower than that, but they were the 2 seed in the East. So if you did put them, Cleveland as the 6 seed, let's just say, let's play this out. If Cleveland was the 6 seed, they would have played San Antonio in the first round. Well, obviously, they couldn't even win a game against them, so they would have been a first-round exit. Let's say they were the 5 seed. Well, they would have played Utah in the first round. You know, maybe not. The Memphis Grizzlies the Golden State Warriors, had the biggest upset in NBA history by beating the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks. They didn't even make it out of the first round. So if they didn't get upset and LeBron and Cleveland were the 4 seed, 5 seed, whatever, they win the first round, that's who they would have played, a 67-win Dallas team. Or if somehow they were on the other side of the bracket and they beat San Antonio, they would have played Phoenix, the 2 seed, in the second round. You were going to have to beat 2 of those teams. Between Phoenix, San Antonio, and Dallas, you were going to have to beat 2 of them. In this particular year, Dallas got upset. That's true. But it just seems like this whole, they got to the finals and everything, but it's just because of how incredibly weak the conference was. You know, they beat 1 team over 500. And to be honest with you, the entire 7-year run that LeBron was on Cleveland, they beat 2 teams over 43 wins. And that one of them was a 47-win Hawks team in 09, and the other one was Detroit. That's it. They beat 2 teams over 43 wins. Now, if you want to celebrate that, and, because, they won 3 rounds, only 1 team over 500, you go right ahead. And I'm not saying that it was, bad. What else are you supposed to do other than just beat the teams in front of you? I get it. But at the same time, let's kind of give it a little context. And to give it more context, 07 in San Antonio, in the first round against Denver, they beat them 4-1. Okay, Denver was the 6 seed because the Spurs were the 3 seed. Well, San Antonio shot 44.3%. That was the worst in the whole playoffs in any round. Well, Denver got a game off of them. All right? In the next round against Phoenix, Phoenix won 2 games. And San Antonio shot a little better, 4.457, 45.7%. Now, Phoenix, of course, had that famous game where Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire got suspended for Game 5 that was in Phoenix. And it was a close game even without those guys. But the Spurs were able to wrap it up in 6 because, they're missing 2 key players. But anyway, with that being said, in the conference finals, they play, I can't remember if it was the 4 or the 5 seed Utah, who got lucky enough to play 8-seeded Golden State because Dallas got upset, or else it would have been Dallas and San Antonio in the conference finals, but that didn't happen. But anyway, the Spurs shoot 49.3%, almost 50% from the field for the series, and Utah still got a game. Cleveland gets almost the worst version of Spurs. 44.4 versus 44.3, and yet still Cleveland failed to win a single game. Now, I understand they were outmatched, or whatever you want to call it. Now, it wasn't because of Tim Duncan, but just to put things in perspective, the San Antonio Spurs, they were a good team, a great team, right? Well, in 2004, in the first round, the Spurs swept the Memphis Grizzlies, okay? The Spurs went 18 series stretch. From that point right there, that would have been 2004 conference semifinals against the Lakers. They would have went from all the way from there all the way to 2011 first round, where they got upset by Memphis in the first round. Anyway, 18 series went on in that stretch. You know how many teams the Spurs swept in that 18 series stretch? That would have been Western Conference semifinals in 2004 through the 2010 Western Conference finals, I believe it was, against the Lakers, right? I think that's right. No. Or yeah, it would have been 20, I think it was, yeah, whatever it was the last series in 2010. But it was 18 series in that stretch. They swept one team, one in 18 series. Can you guess who that one team was? That's right, 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the only team the Spurs swept for an 18 series stretch. Now, to me, that is some, fairly decent evidence that maybe LeBron would have struggled had he been out west, with the same Cleveland team or whatever. I think that he would have struggled. I think he would have struggled mightily. He's not going to be winning, 3 championships like he did when he was in the East if he was in the West. I mean, we'll never know for sure, but even besides the championships, he's not making 8 finals in a row. There's just no way. Not possible. And 9 finals overall from the East, yeah, he'd have been lucky to get 3 or 4. I'm just saying, he would have been. All right. The next series, 2011 Dallas. Again, Dallas is the 3 seed. The 1 seed, San Antonio, they got beat by Memphis in the first round in 2011. That was an upset, okay? So anyway, in the first round, Dallas plays Portland. They beat them in 6 games. Dallas shoots 45.5%. The next round, they sweep the Lakers. They shoot 49.3%, so that's really good. In the conference finals against OKC, 44.9%. They beat OKC 4-1. But OKC's like the 4 seed, again, because San Antonio got upset. But in the finals, Dallas beats Miami 4-2. But they shot about what they did with the other teams, but they did not have a better result than even Portland did. 4-2, same thing Portland did. They did better than Lakers and OKC, but this is the finals. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to be the highest level of competition. That's one thing that the LeBron fans always drive me nuts about. Saying, oh man, how can getting swept in the finals be worse than being swept in the first round? They're inferring that because Michael Jordan got swept twice in the first round against Boston back in the 80s. Well, the difference is expectations and records. The Bulls were a 30 and 40 win team. They were under 500. Their expectations against the best home team of an NBA history, 86 Celtics, and then the 87 Celtics, they were a 59 win team defending world champions. Their expectations were not super high. But when you're in the finals, you're not supposed to get swept. And anybody who wants to stick up for it, just remember this little nugget of information. There have been 2 teams since 2002 that have been swept in the finals. That goes back 22 seasons, from 2003 to 2024. It covers 22 seasons. Only 2 teams have got swept in the finals. Do you know who they were? 2007 San Antonio and 2018 Cleveland. That's the 2. Or I'm sorry, I said San Antonio. 2007 Cleveland and 2018 Cleveland. That's the only 2 teams that have been swept in the finals in the last 22 years. Look it up. All right. So 2014 San Antonio. Everybody talks about they were a juggernaut. They were shooting pretty good. They were moving the ball around well and all that kind of stuff. No question. In the first round against Dallas, San Antonio shooting almost 50%. Dallas pushed them to 7. And if you look at that team, Dallas, they had Sean Marion, Dirk Nowitzki, and Vince Carter were their 3 best players. All 3 were between 36 and 37 years old. So I'm just saying, to me, that's evidence the Spurs were not unbeatable, like certain people like to say. All right, in the next round against Portland, they were okay. Portland lost in 5. Okay, so San Antonio isn't sweeping and just plowing through it. But I mean, 4-1 gentleman sweep. Okay. Western Conference Finals against OKC. They beat them in 6. They shot 46.2%. Whatever. OKC did a good job on them. Miami gave up 52.8% shooting, in large part because Kawhi Leonard in the 2014 Finals shot 61.2% from the field. That's crazy. And 57.9% from three-point land. Wow. Too bad they didn't have, a small forward that could defend all 5 positions. Yeah, too bad. Maybe next time, Miami. Be on the lookout for that. But anyway, so they get gentlemen swept. They do no better than any of the other 3 teams in the Western Conference. Now, again, is this evidence that the LeBron and his teams may have had a rougher go if he was in the West? I mean, I think it's some evidence, yes. 2015 Golden State. Now, I know Kyrie Irving played game 1, then he didn't play again, and Kevin Love was out. Absolutely. But they were getting significant contributions from guys like Deladova, from Mozgov. They actually played pretty well at times. And Golden State did not shoot great either. In the first round, Golden State shot 44.9% against New Orleans. They swept them. In the next round against Memphis, missing players. I know Mike Conley missed 1 game. I think Tony Allen missed 1 game. And those were both games that Memphis lost. So they could have been impactful. Western Conference Finals against Houston, they won in 5. And then in the finals, they beat Cleveland 6. So Cleveland didn't do any better than Memphis did in the second round. And Golden State only shot 43.6%. So, again, you're getting the weakest offensive output from Golden State. Now, I know Kyrie and Kevin Love not being there, definitely made a difference. No doubt about it. But I'm just saying, again, in the finals, they did no better than the team in the second round did. So, I'm just saying, in every one of these, he did no better than Memphis in 2015. The worst on the board, tied with Portland in 14. Tied with Portland at 4-2 in 2011. And then in 07 did the worst on the board. 2017, and here's the one and only loss that they actually did better than the competition. But there is, a couple caveats here. Well, they swept Portland and Utah in the first 2 rounds. San Antonio had a 23-point lead with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. It looked like they were definitely going to steal game 1. But Kawhi Leonard's knee gets hurt, and that's it. And they end up shooting 53.8%, already without Tony Parker. And then Kawhi Leonard goes down. I mean, it was over at that point. But I think if both those guys were in there, that series is going at least 6, if not 7, if not maybe even the Spurs win it. It's possible. I will never know. But I think it would have been possible. So, again, this is the one and only that Cleveland actually did better than the other 3 teams. But these are 2 mediocre playoff teams right here, Portland and Utah. And San Antonio without Kawhi Leonard, they're less than mediocre. I mean, they're probably a 30-win team without Parker and Kawhi Leonard. 2018, another one that LeBron James gets all kinds of props for. The first round against the Spurs, and I think they're only like a 45-win team, something like that. They beat the Spurs in 5. In the next round against New Orleans, they beat New Orleans in 5. The next round against Houston, they beat them in 7. They were down 3-2. Chris Paul got injured. We all know about that. But it looked like Houston may have won that series. Very possible. We'll never know, but possible. And then in the finals, of course, Cleveland got swept out, the only team to get no wins against Golden State in the playoffs in 2018. And Golden State did shoot really good, but again, large part to the small forward. The small forward just seems to always have a great series whenever they're playing LeBron James. You tell me why. So, I wanted to throw in a little comparison here. Because, I can already hear the excuses flying about why this happened, why that happened. The team wasn't that good, blah, 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 blah. Well, Kevin Love was, and had such potential to be a great player. I mean, he already was when he was on Minnesota. Second team All-NBA. This guy was a legit player, no doubt about it. One year, their team was 40-42, and his best player, one of them was like Corey Brewer. I mean, he didn't have hardly any teammates worth a damn when he was on Minnesota. But anyway, I just think Kevin Love was not being utilized correctly when he was on Cleveland. His game should have stayed the same and give the same production that he was giving. Whatever it took to make that happen, to get the maximum firepower out of all your good players. That just didn't happen. So to me, getting swept, you had a guy who was in his prime who, was putting up incredible numbers. All right, so in contrast, 1989, the Detroit Pistons. Nobody could beat the Pistons. Did you know that the Pistons, they swept out Boston in the first round 3-0. Now, Larry Bird did not play. He was injured, whatever. But they still had McHale and Parrish and Dennis Johnson. So all you guys who love to count Hall of Famers, they swept a team that had three of them. 3-0. The next round against Milwaukee in 89, the conference semifinals, they swept them 4-0. Now, up to that point, the Detroit Pistons in 1989 had won 26 straight home games. 26 straight until they played the Bulls in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Bulls beat them. So they were the only team to win in Detroit in the last 30 games of the season, counting the playoffs. That's it. That's the only team to do that. All right? And they got 2 wins off Detroit, where none of the other 3 teams could get 1 win. But the Bulls got 2. This is like the reverse of LeBron here. Now, no, that's not the finals because, the Bulls were in a stacked conference. And also, the star right here indicates Pippen only played 1 minute in Game 6. So it was 3-2 Detroit. Game 6 was in Chicago. Pippen played 1 minute, elbow to the head. He's out. He's done. So I'm sure that played a part. You know what I mean? I mean, Scottie Pippen was vital to their success, no question. But where I don't want to hear the narrative of how somehow Pippen carried Jordan, I mean, that's where you guys are just getting stupid with it. It's coincidence more than anything else, But anyway, I'm not even going to get into that Pippen stuff. But the point is, the Bulls in 89, as a 6th seed, as they went on the best run of any 5th-place team in a division in NBA history, they got to Game 6 of the conference finals. No team has ever got that far as the 5th-place team in their division. That's the one and only time it happened. 89 Bulls. All right, 1990, similar situation. Detroit, they sweep Indiana 3-0. They beat the Knicks in 5. Then they play the Bulls, tough series. The home team won every game. The Bulls pushed them to 7. The star here is the Bulls players 2 through 6 in minutes played. So that'd be Michael Jordan would have been number 1. So that would have been probably B.J. Armstrong, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, Bill Cartwright, and I think it was Stacey King because John Paxson was hurt that game. So again, got an injury in 2015. Well, Jordan had a key player out too in a game 7. Well, anyway, they shot 11 for 57, which is under 20%. That's the only time since the merger that a star player got that kind of production from the role players, under 20% in a closeout game. That's the lowest in NBA history. Okay, and also that's the infamous Pippen migraine game as well. So I'm just saying these also come with asterisks because there was an injury, and this one had an injury with an illness, and just flat out, just getting nothing from the supporting cast. But whatever. The bottom line is, in the finals, the 90 Detroit beat Portland in 5 games. Portland, they just got done taking down the Lakers in 6 games. They beat Phoenix. That's right, in the conference finals. And anyway, Portland gets beat in 5 games. But the Bulls pushed them to 7. So nobody can, these 2 seasons, nobody could even win a game in the 89, and nobody could win more than one game in 90, where the Bulls were, at least they won 5 games. They were 5-8, where they were 22-2 against everybody else. So I'm just saying, that's a good showing. That this is a good showing, and these are bad showings. See what I'm saying? You're not doing, other than 2017, which even still, I thought those teams were still pretty even. Golden State had the advantage. They were a better team, no doubt. But it wasn't by a huge margin. I just thought Cleveland should have, had a better showing. That's all. But anyway, and one last little tidbit too. In 1986, on a team that had won 30 games without Jordan, and Jordan did play in some of them, so he probably accounted for a few of those wins. But anyway, in 1986, the Boston Celtics, in the playoffs, at home, no team came within 11 points of beating Boston in Boston. That was the Houston Rockets, 2 games. That was 3 games. The Atlanta Hawks, 3 games. I think it was Milwaukee, 2 games. And the Bulls had 2 cracks at it. The Bulls took Boston to double overtime and lost by 4 points. That was as close as anybody got in the playoffs, by a mile. And actually, if you go all the way back to the 20th game of the season where Boston lost to Portland, their only home loss of the season, Boston won 32 straight home games before playing the Bulls in game 2 of the first round. 32 in a row. You imagine? And the Bulls did the best of all 32. If you count the playoffs, all the playoff games, that accounted for a total of 40 games. The Bulls came the closest to beating Boston in Boston of all 40 games that Boston played at home. And like I said, double overtime, lost by 4 points. And this is a team that only won 30 games. So the point is, even though they got swept in a 3-game series, it was still a good showing, at least for the one game. It's better than anybody else could do in Boston. The Bulls just didn't have the front court players to handle Parrish, McHale, and Burke. They just didn't have it. I mean, they had Orlando Woolridge, rookie Charles Oakley. They can't deal with those guys. Come on. But anyway, that's about all I got for this video. These are just the losses, and to also the seeding of these teams too. Of the 4 opponents that LeBron James won in the finals, in 2012, Oklahoma City was the 2 seed. So there was still a team out there with a better record than Oklahoma City. In 2013, the Spurs were also the 2 seed. So there was another team out there with a better record than the Spurs that Miami didn't have to play. So I'm just saying, if you're having trouble with the 2s and 3 seeds, imagine what the 1 seeds are like. And I think the other one was, of course, was 2020. LeBron was in the West. It was against Miami. They were the 5 seed. It was a joke. They had injuries and all that. I think everybody wanted to see him play Milwaukee because Milwaukee was the best team all year. That was going to be the finals, but the Clippers didn't make it. It was just really a joke of a playoff. But the Lakers won. You can count the ring and all that. But it was not the same thing as an ordinary season. Anybody who says it was, you're crazy. But yeah, you can count it as a championship, no doubt about it. It was a championship, but it was definitely a Mickey Mouse one at that. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Thank you guys for your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I've been trying to give daily content. I have for a while now. And that's it for now.